Oh, and down he goes! Right hand, left hand! And I don't think he's going to get up! I think it's all over! I think it's over! Is he going to get up? Can he get up? Can he get up? He does! Oh my goodness! Somehow Fury has managed to get up!
If you haven't already, please also subscribe to us on Apple, Spreaker and Spotify. Just type in Brawl Boxing and you'll find us there. Thank you.
Thanks to Wow Hydrate, who've sponsored the podcast. They provided me and the lads with some of their protein and vitamin waters, along with electrolyte drinks, which are the best on the market. Thanks for your continued support. We really appreciate it.
Hello, folks, and welcome back to the Brawl Boxing podcast. I'm Kieran McCourt, and I'm joined by co-hosts Colin McGuigan and Ram McLaughlin.
Well, guys, episode 4 of our new series, and we're joined by one of the most popular women in boxing at the moment. So please welcome Ebanie Bridges. Ebanie, how's things?
I'm good, thank you. How are you, boys?
All good, all good. Now, what the people won't see is you just had to spend 10 minutes trying to adjust your camera and work. So these are I had to out you here from the get-go.
It was actually like so simple, and I made it so complicated. But we're here.
We're here. All's well.
Now I can look at all of you at once. You know, it's better.
No, well, Ebanie, obviously we had you on earlier when things were starting to take off, and it's obviously got crazier and crazier for you. How's things been going? Have you found the whole new fame?
I mean, it's good. You know, it's not like, I mean, I don't. It's obviously a reward for me for the work that I've put in. But I enjoy it. You know, obviously I enjoy, you know, my fans and the people and the support and the love that I get. You know, it's nice. It's nice to be appreciated. It's nice to, you know, have that respect now that I didn't have when I first came on the scene.
Obviously, when you first broke through, you were getting a lot of like weird requests, weird and wonderful requests.
From you guys, yeah, I remember.
From us, yeah.
Well, no, from an associate.
I don't know if it was Kieran or Ryan or one of them was in my DMs.
Oh!
How's that?
Well,
you know, I know you bought socks. Unlike a fake.
No, that was our mate Daniel Reid. He's actually in jail now. But
oh, is that? Oh, okay. Yeah. I remember
He's a Tinder swindler, isn't he?
The Tinder swindler.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's actually in a supermax Australian prison at the minute. We won't obviously go into that, but a lovely fella, very misunderstood. What I was going to ask, are you still getting these sort of weird requests?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Got more
Doesn't
weird.
stop.
I
mean, let's be fair. I kind of bait it a little bit, you know, like I'll put a story up with like censored feet and stuff, and I'll ask for people to DM if they want to see, you know, like the uncensored version, you know, and I get a couple of £100 off just that, you know. So yeah.
I'm near sure at one point you had like Chantel Cameron or Savannah Marshall's feet on your story, and like there must have been so many freaks contacting them, so it's like a cult now. There's like all these different women boxers because of you are getting contacted.
yeah, definitely. And I'll try and help my mates make a few quid too, you know. So you know, I'm trying to promote others, but you know, boxing and feet, but whatever, yeah.
There's a Netflix documentary going to come out about this soon.
Dan Reid playing himself.
He'll be there with me. He's there with me socks.
Oh my God.
Tell me this, by the way, sorry, Reid, if you're listening. Tell me this, do you look at your, like, obviously the DMs go into like a different folder. Do you try to avoid that? Is it like a sort of dark tunnel you don't want to go down, or do you just open it when you're bored?
No, yeah, when I'm bored, I'll have a look. So honestly, I get so many, like, especially like if I post like a nice pic, like that Valentine pic that I posted, I must have got, I don't even know, a couple hundred probably, like just in a day. Like, so I can't go through.
Got a column.
Yeah, that's the one.
He was
that's
straight
the one
on
I
it.
sent.
Yeah,
Yeah, straight on. I was probably the
slid right in.
first one. Yeah, the reply straight away to her.
He was like,
but see, to be
"Happy
fair,
Valentine's Day. If I had your address, I would have sent you flowers."
Oh,
actually, I'll put the record straight. It was the other way around, and that's a fact. And I'll add the evidence into this video. However, Ebanie did say that, you know, like through this whole process, you've actually made those people, like, it's earned you money in terms of like women's boxing I'm not being cheeky, but there's not a lot of money in women's boxing. You know that better than anyone. So you've
course.
made a lot of money from that. So it's actually it's been a good business decision for you to go
Yeah.
down this route. And like I
Everything-
looked yesterday, we posted the photo of you coming on the podcast, and the amount of freaks like in our honestly, there was one guy. I'm gonna get McCourt to add the photo in, right? There was one guy who was pressing onto his nipples, topless, and it said Ebony on his chest in the photo. And it was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. He liked our photo yesterday. Like these are the type of people she's got attracted to her.
Did you see my fan that got me tattooed on him?
No
No,
way.
we didn't see
Portrait?
Where?
Oh,
Where?
okay.
Oh,
Yeah, I had it up. It was on my story yesterday or something. But yeah, anyway.
Add it in.
That's
Hey,
so-
entertaining. It's entertaining, mate. It's
Where
entertainment.
is it? Where is it on his body?
It's on his stomach.
Interesting.
How do you feel?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Nah, that's cool, man. Like, go for it. Like, he actually came in to see me at my meet and greet and asked me to autograph his stomach. So I autographed his stomach, and then he went and got that tattooed, the autograph. And then after he'd done that, he went and got the portrait.
That is mental.
I mean, you know, you've made it when people are getting tattoos of you.
Yeah.
I'm actually just about to say that. It's like a cult following.
Yeah.
You don't see this in women's boxing at all. Obviously, like
No.
there's people that follow like Katie Taylor and stuff, but it's not to this extent. You've kind of got like a backing of like Leeds fans. You've got all these
Yeah.
freaks. It's the weirdest mix. It's like
Hey,
Leeds
hey.
fans.
You stop attacking her fans. They're going to be
Yeah.
listening.
No,
Hey.
I don't. No, I'm not saying it like that, but I'm saying these weird feet people because they are freaks, really, and they probably like to be called that. In fact,
Yeah.
there was one time there was some guy was paying you money to call him a freak. I'm near sure. Like
Yeah.
he was genuine, like he was sending her money on PayPal and saying, "Just
Yeah.
call me a freak." She was
Yeah.
replying saying, "Freak." That's
There's
freak.
nothing I love more than hearing Colin talking to third person about himself.
I do have a few people that like they're pay pigs. It's called pay pigs in Findom, where they pretty much give me money to say shit to them.
Before, I apologize to anyone listening to this podcast who is just like a strong Roman Catholic or under the age of 18. We apologize for the first 5 minutes. You're actually
I'm not apologizing for shit. If you're listening to this, then that's your problem.
said it. We're just putting a disclaimer out to keep on the safe side. But you actually do a bit of boxing yourself as well, Ebony.
I do a little bit of boxing. Yeah, I do a bit of boxing on the side. Yeah, it's the boxing's my side thing. But yeah, no. Yeah, boxing. Obviously, I have a world title fight coming up. You know, but
we're
exciting.
going to get to that. We don't want to jump to the world title fight before, because when we last had you on, you were about, I think it was a week before the Shaman fight. Obviously, that got you a load of new fans because it was one of the best fights of the year. It was unbelievable, and you showed so much heart. Great scrap. That brought in a lot of fans. You 2 great fights after. You boxed out Eddie Hearn's back. What was that experience like?
Yeah, that was cool, man. I mean, you know, obviously just to get another fight out in UK was good, and to have some crowd there was awesome. Yeah, I was really excited about that fight, and then obviously to get the statement win to, you know, knock out one of the toughest girls in the UK was pretty good. And yeah, I mean, it's all exciting every little bit, every day more that I'm training, every fight that I have, I'm just building more experience, I'm learning more, and it's exciting for me.
Do you feel like you've been adopted to the UK now because you've spent so much time over here, and obviously all the fan base is massive here now as well?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely say that I do feel adopted, and it's nice. You know, it's nice to come to another country, and feel like it's home. You know what I mean? It's not often you get that, to have so much warmth and you know, like a reception and stuff in another country. It's really lovely.
I mean, obviously, like we had you on before the Shaman fight, it didn't go your way, but people don't really know the story of the end of that fight, because I think people watched it, seen the war, and didn't really realize to what point you couldn't see. So it got, I think it got to like, what was it, the 8th round maybe? Yeah,
like the 7th, it was like kind of close, but 8th, 9th, and 10th, I was really struggling to see out of it. Like it was shut 9, 10, 8. Like I could barely see out of it. I'm like freaking, there's photos of me, like my eyes look like it's so wide. My other eye that wasn't closed is so wide because I'm trying to fucking open my eyes, but I couldn't open them, you know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. And at the end, I was still smiling because I loved the fight. I enjoyed the fight a lot. You know, it was my kind of fight, and yeah, and insane. So,
but can you like watching that? Like, and that was one of the worst sort of like mid-fight injuries I've seen. Like, I was watching it, like, how is she doing this? Like, and the worst part is, like, you weren't even trying to box then. You were just still coming forward, and you were just getting peppered. Like, I hurt my toe or have a hangover, and I'm like throwing painkillers down me and saying the rosary, and you were just marching forward, eye out to here. Was it sore, like when you're getting peppered with shots?
Well, I wasn't really getting peppered with the shots. I was blocking a lot of shots, but thanks. Yeah. Yeah. For the occasions that she did land the right hand, yeah, it did hurt. It felt like she was stabbing my eyebrow bone every time the punch landed. But yeah, I mean, obviously I couldn't see it, and I made adjustments, and especially in the 10th round when I actually told my corner, because they were yelling things out at me, and I'm like, I can't fucking see. Like, you know, like my coach from home was like saying shit that I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, he's, oh, you're, you know, like yelling at me, telling me I'm stronger than this guy, and I'm like, this ain't gonna fucking help me, mate. Like, I need some direction, you know. So that's when I like was looking at the Americans, and I'm like, man, like, what am I gonna do in the round 10? And they just said, you know, like, go to your right and just avoid the right. And so once I started doing that and slipping a lot to the right and stuff, like, it was, you know, it was avoiding the punches a lot. But yeah, I mean, sometimes the short rights that she got through were definitely, it was like, yeah, a knife going through my bone, you know. But if it wasn't, when it wasn't getting punched, it wasn't hurting. So it was only when I got punched that it was sore, that I got that sharpness. But yeah, it just made me react anymore, really.
Ebanie, obviously now you're training full time in England, which is massive for you in terms of your world title aspirations and everything else with your career. How you find that? And it must be a big difference from Australia, because like you've got the sun every day, and now you're stuck in London with rain non-stop, no pool at your back. Like, how you coping with it?
I mean, I'm not really a sun person anyways, or a heat person, so I don't really mind. No, it's fine. I mean, everyone always talks to me about the weather, but I feel like it's like, I don't know, maybe I'm just not been here long enough to care. Like, you guys complain so much about the weather, but I'm like, fuck whatever, I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? But it's always what everyone says. The Brits always say to me about the weather, the rain and the cold. And like, to be fair, I love tracksuits and I love jumpers and I love rugging up. So, I mean, for me, so far it's good. I love winter attire. I like dressing in winter clothes more than I do like dresses and skirts and stuff. So for me, I'm comfortable. I like it. It's no drama. I mean, who knows? Maybe in 6 months I might be like, fuck, I really miss the sun. But I don't know. I'm not really a sun person. You know what I mean?
I suppose like the big change for you is like, you were a school teacher back home. You trained really hard. You got up early in the morning. That must be like a big change for you now that you're not teaching, and you miss that because it's like a vocation teaching, isn't it? And that's something that you really enjoyed, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, I don't really miss forcing myself to get up at like 4:35 in the morning to train before school and then go to school all day, put all my energy out into my students, and then drive to training from school and do my second session, and then go home and cook for me, cook for my boyfriend, and then go for a third session. Like, I mean, and then having to plan on my schoolwork and then doing it again over and over and over. Don't really miss that. I mean, I'm happy that I'm able to actually rest in between my training sessions, but I definitely miss teaching. I love the teaching, and you know, I do miss that. And if I could do it here, I probably still would. Like, even if it was a couple of days a week. I think, like, when I went back to Australia last year, it was nice to just go and teach, not because I had to, but because like I wanted to, like just a couple of days a week or something, because I can manage that in my training, and I'm still enjoying it. I'm still doing what I love to do and inspiring youth and helping the kids and stuff like that. So that was kind of manageable. But if I had to teach full time plus box full time again, I'd really struggle. Like, I don't know how I'd do that. Like, after being able to, now getting used to the rest, because you kind of get in just a routine and you just do what you got to do, you know. And that's what it was for me. Just, well, that's what I do. That's what I got to do to get the job done. I got to put food on the table, and I got to box, because unfortunately boxing wasn't putting food on the table, you know. So yeah, and that's just what I do. That's just how I am, anyways. So
people would say like, oh, like Ebanie's been an overnight success, but they don't actually realize, like, obviously the grind you put in, obviously that for you, getting up at 4:30 before school, and then training after school, and then coming back and then doing it all again every day. It's madness. That
was literally up until March last year, before I had the Courtney fight. Even for my Catterall Her fight, the fight I just did before Courtney, and it was doing that. So that's not even a year. I've only been a year that I haven't had to do that, grafting every day. every
But
day.
people
And people don't
know
realize,
as
like,
well. Like
sorry.
you've been a fighter from the beginning, because you like, I know we mentioned it in the first one when we had you on, but like you broke a bone in your leg, didn't you, in your first fight, or your foot? Like
Yeah,
in your debut fight.
Snapped my syndesmosis, yeah.
And you finished the fight and you won.
Yeah.
It's outrageous. Like
That is.
Yeah.
That's
But you know what? People also don't know. Like, you got people here, like, had a couple of fights, like girls here had a couple of fights on Matchroom and all this kind of stuff. Easy, not easy, but it's easy for them. I had to pay. My first 3 opponents cost me 15K almost, because I had to pay. Because in Australia, boxing's not big, and there's no opponents, because no one was boxing in Australia. I had one other girl in my state that was a professional boxer in my state. One, she wasn't even in my weight class, and all the other girls that were in my weight class didn't want to fight me because they were either too experienced, and what's the point of fighting a novice, or they were novices and didn't want to get fucking like knocked out or lose. You know what I mean? So I had to pay for opponents. You know, promoters in Australia like Eddie Hearn that put me on a show and pay for my opponents and pay for everything. I had to pay for everything. I had to pay for their flights, their teams' flights and accommodation. And Australia's away from everywhere. So a minimum flight from like Philippines or Thailand or India or whatever is like fucking $1,200 return, you know, and you got to pay for them, their coach, their corner. Then you got to pay for their accommodation for 5 days, their food allowance, their registration, their bloods. Because I'm telling you right now, Australian doesn't even like investing in boxing as it is, let alone a female, you know. Now maybe, but not when I started, you know, in 2019. It's only just changed. And it's still the same there. It's not that big, you know. So these people, you know, like they're getting the fights here in the UK, they don't have to pay $4,000 for an opponent out of their own pocket. They might even be making $1,000 if they're lucky. Or they might sell tickets and make money off tickets. I was literally $4,500 out of pocket. You know, lucky I had sponsors to help me, but I'm just saying, like, you know, it wasn't easy for me. I had to invest, and I've always invested in my career. People don't realize that. They think, oh, fuck, she just gets it easy because she had a fucking world title fight on a 5th fight or 6th, whatever fucking fight it was. Do you know what I mean? But you don't know me before I came to the UK, what I had to put up with in Australia, you know? And all that.
Was it hard for you to see the bigger picture?
And you know what? And people don't make it in Australia because they can't invest, because they don't make that money, because they think, I don't want to pay that much money for an opponent. And mind you, in Australia now, there's a lot more girls turned pro in the last year. So it's a bit easier to match fights, but there was no girls when I started. So we had to fly girls over, you know? So that was the only option. And, you know, and like I said, promoters aren't going to pay. They're not going to pay for a girl put out $4,500 for a debut or a second fight or a third fight for a girl in Australia. No way. So I had to support myself and hustle myself and invest. But like a business, you invest. I've just treated my boxing just like a business, like I would any normal business. And I didn't even bloody study business, but you got to invest before you make money. No matter what you do, you should always invest your time, money, invest whatever you need to do whenever you're trying to build something. And I was trying to build my career. So I just said, fuck it. I'm going to be fucking broke. I'm going to, you know, as long as I can put food on the table and get to the gym, which is pretty much, I was working my ass off just so I could do that. That's what I did.
Must be like a great inspiration as well, though, for women fighters in Australia who maybe mightn't have seen that sort of opportunity like happening, and then obviously see you do it and then take it. For them is to sort of see like, oh, there's light at the end of the tunnel here, because it must have been hard for you, especially making all them payments, making all them sacrifices, and then thinking, right, but there's going to be something at the end of it, because really you were probably the first one.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we all make sacrifices. You know, the girls and that all around the world, women have always had to work full time and box because there's never been enough money to make money. There's never been enough money for a woman to make boxing as a full time thing. If you know what I mean? So a lot of female fighters always have to work 2 jobs. So it's not a rarity. But to actually like get the fights and like get out of the country, do you know what I mean? Like I took the risk to do that, and I would spend fucking money to go to Vegas, get my name out in Vegas and do interviews in Vegas. So then I got signed by Americans. So then I could have a fight in America and I could build my name more. You know what I mean? People might be like, oh, I don't have the money to do that. Well, fucking make the money. I was fucking working 3 jobs and studying full time and working. I mean, and training. I was traveling 5 hours a day, sleeping maybe 4 hours a day. But I never would complain once. Like I said, with my teaching, I was like, well, you know, I have to get up and train before school because I got to work. And that's just what I had to do. I didn't think about it. I didn't make no complaints or say fucking nothing. And I just did what I had to do. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't. They just quit and they go, that's too hard. I can't do it. And that's what happens. And they can't. They quit. And then where are they? They're not where I am. You know what I mean? Because it is hard. It's fucking hard.
Do you find that that's kind of paved the way, though, for you now training in the UK? Obviously, it makes the training, I'm not saying it's easier, but it's easier to comprehend the way you're training at the moment as a full-time athlete because you went through all those hardships.
Yeah, oh, definitely. I mean, I never forget where I come from either. That's why I always try and help others. You know, so I always try and help the girls that are up and coming or the newbies and stuff because it is fucking hard. Do you know what I mean? And I try and give back because I don't forget where I come from. I'm not like, oh, look at me now or whatever. I know where I came from. I know the work that I put in. You know what I mean? And I'll never forget that. People forget it. People don't see it. People just think I'm tits and ass and fucking, yeah, look, I just flash my tits at Wayne's. Fucking, mate, how else am I? If you wear underwear, my boobs are going to be showing. What do you want me to do? Wear a fucking burqa? Like, do you know what I mean? All the other girls are wearing the same shit. They're all wearing underwear. The only difference is they haven't spent fucking 30 grand on the chest. You know what I mean? Literally. And people, that's all they say. Like, it's this and that. Mate, they have no fucking idea. And to be honest, I don't really give a fuck. Obviously, I'm talking to you guys about it, but I'm not out there on Twitter or trying to prove myself all the time and try and stick up for myself or have to tell people my story because I really don't give a fuck. Because, you know, I'm successful and making money and I know the people that aren't haters and aren't like can actually see the bigger picture, they support it and they see it. You know what I mean? They see. And the others that don't see it, they're closed-minded and they'll never see it. And that's why they'll never be where I am because they don't understand, you know?
Ebony, I feel like going for a run right now.
I know.
I got me hyped up.
Look, I have this effect.
They,
Should see me in the classroom. My kids are all like, okay, I love fucking algebra. It's so good.
all pretending to like
I've never loved times tables so much in my life.
While they're under the desk looking at your weigh-in photos. Being like...
That's damn right.
So that leads us nicely talking about
Sorry.
I was just going to say that leads us on nicely talking about like the hard path you had with March 26th coming up, world title shot. How buzzing are you?
I'm pretty buzzing, eh? Like, I think I'm more buzzing. Obviously, world title's mad, but the fact that I'm able to fight in Leeds again, in front of a crowd of my fans and actually give them some notice. Do you know, I'm really, really excited about that because it'll be like full, you know, the arena when I get on. And last time was pretty exciting for me. But this is going to be even better, I think. And I'm really excited about this fight because I'm really excited about Cecilia Roman, you know, my opponent. I just think it's going to be a great fight. Like, I think it's going to be a mad fight that I'm going to enjoy. And I believe I can win, you know, but winning and losing aside, I think it's going to be a mad fight. Like, I always looked at Cecilia and I'm like, man, I want to have that fight. Like, that'd be fun, you know, because I love to fight. Obviously, I want to make money, but I do love to fight, you know, and I want to have good fights and fights where I can look back at my career and go, fuck, that was a mad fight. That's like the Shannon Courtney fight. Although I'd have lost and I fucking don't like the cunt, like, but honestly, like, I sit back and I go, you know what? That was fucking mad and that was fun. And I might have hurt my eye, but I was smiling afterwards because I enjoyed the fight, you know, and that's
for
all
anyone who doesn't realize, Ebony is the female version of Tyrone McKenna. She literally,
I was just thinking that.
She literally is. So he's a fighter from Belfast. You'll have seen his face. He's everywhere. But you are literally the female version of him. He would fight. Honestly, he would start a fight in the post box. He is absolutely nuts. And you're just like him. You just have the same mindset. But
like I wish people would sit and fight with me, but they don't. Everyone I fought, you know, Shannon, Beck, the Gangoloff, you know, you watch all their fights, they all come forward, they all like to bully. But then with me, they just run away. And it's on the back foot, moving as much as they can, you know what I mean? And it's a little bit annoying because I always get excited and I think, oh yeah, it's gonna be mad like phone booth kind of fight. And then it's like, here I am chasing people again. But I feel like Roman I think the fight with me and Roman will be kind of similar to me and Shannon, but she might sit in a little bit more in the pocket with me. Do you know what I mean? But I think she will go back and forth. She will go in and out. I think we'll both go in and out. I'm much more experienced as well now. So I can box and I can sit in the inside too. But yeah, I think it's gonna be action packed. And I feel like we're both quite good, like, what's the word? Like shape wise, structurally wise, you know what I mean? Like, we're not really messy fighters. You know, it's not like gonna be a mess where we're just fucking windmilling and shit, you know? I hope not. I don't plan to be like that.
Has training with Mark Tabak added a different dimension to your game, do you think?
Yeah, I think it will, for sure. You know, but he loves the Mexican style as well. He's really excited because of my style. Like, he's like a, you know, because he has all tall, lanky motherfuckers, you know what I mean? So he can't teach him how to be a little Mexican in the pocket, but he loves that style, you know, and he likes that aggressive style and it's the fights he likes to watch as well. So he's really inspired and excited with my training too, because he knows I do it really well, but he wants to fine tune it, you know what I mean, and sharpen it up, and just for me, it's just about learning like to take that space and take that step back when I don't need to be in there the whole time, you know what I mean. I can go back and have a breather and like fucking use my jab a bit, you know. But when I'm inside, you know, like I'll go to work. So it's just about learning the paces of it, like the gears of what I'm doing. And I'm pretty confident in that sense. Like he's not trying to change me. He's not going to try and turn me into a boxer. You know what I mean? But I can box. You know, like I know Colin, you've seen me. Like, you know, I can box, but I just don't need to. Like with the fights that I've had, like I don't need to box. These girls aren't coming forward on me. I don't need to outbox them. Do you know what I mean? But if someone does, then sure, I've got it there if I want to do it. But the power and strength and bullying style that I have is what gets me the win on these girls.
People, I don't think, actually realize how much of a student of the game you are, though, because like
all
day, every day, you're watching boxing, you're watching
literally
different videos.
I think
honestly,
I've literally watched like already 3 fights today and other shit. Like I've watched fucking Manny Pacquiao, I've watched Chavez and Barrera. Like today I've already watched 3 fights. I'm gonna go on a little Manny Pacquiao thing, but yeah, like I love it, and I send them always to Mark. I could show you my phone, but he's sending YouTube clips to Mark. I'm like, oh man, fuck, let's do this. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's mad because I watch my shit, and then I go and watch boxing, and like I'll train with Mark in the morning, like I've done, and then I go for a run, and then I'll go in the studio at the gym, and I'll do more shadow boxing. I just did 20 minutes shadow boxing tonight after watching the box. I'm running on the treadmill, I'm watching the boxing, like Manny Pacquiao was tonight while I was on the treadmill, and so then I'll go get off the treadmill, I'll go in the little studio. And I do I'm looking at what he's done. You know what I mean? I thought I'll put it in I want to try it out. You know, so I'm always studying, I'm always practicing. It's always homework for me. Like, and Mark, I know Mark appreciates and respects the graft that I put in. Do you know what I mean? Like he's like, you know, he says to me, like, you fucking mate, like the amount that I'm into boxing, it's nuts, you know, like, and then yeah, I mean, I saw him, so I'm fucking sorry because I'm always sending him boxing and I'll break shit down. I'll send him like a little 20-second clip and I'll be like, what about this? Or I'll be like, in my sparring, I'll be like, I don't want to do this. This is shit. Like, we gotta fix it. Like, I'm obsessed. But he likes it, I think, because he sees that obviously I want to learn and I want to be better, and we're seeing eye to eye, but I'm definitely fucking a bit OCD with it.
Yeah, see, to be elite, I think you have to be obsessed. Like you're doing all that, and then Colin would be sitting at home watching The Notebook by himself, and it's just like there's levels.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
There's levels, isn't there?
But you know what? You got to remember, I've only been boxing for 5 years. You know, 5 years. 5 years. But the reason I am as far as I am skilled-wise, forget about the promotion and my name and shit. I don't box like someone that's only been boxing 5 years. Most people do the amateurs for 5 years or more before they even turn pro. And they turn pro and they're still shit. You know what I mean? Some people, like, I'm not saying everyone, but do you know what I mean? Like, it takes years to build skills. But I think because, and I'm not saying that I'm fucking like the best in the world in 5 years, but what I'm saying is I think considering I had such a limited years in boxing in my amateur career and, you know, pro. Don't forget, pro, my first year was out with a fucking snapped ankle. Second year out with fucking COVID. So really, I've only had one smooth fucking year of boxing and training in my pros, to be honest, you know. But it's because I'm obsessive, I think, and because I practice not just in the gym, but I'll go home and I'll fucking shadow box around the house after watching a bit of whatever Barrera or Morales, and I'll be like, okay, or Chavez, and fucking moving around the house because that's what I do. So I'm always practicing, you know what I mean? It's not just for an hour or 2 hours that I'm in the gym. I'm studying constantly on the computer, you know what I mean? Like I'm watching and I'm taking it all in, you know? So yeah, I think all that kind of helps to why I've kind of gone further. And I understand boxing. I've been a fan of boxing since I was young, and I think all that helps. So with that boxing brain, still a long way to go, but I mean, I think it's definitely helps.
Ebanie, obviously, we don't want to keep you much longer, right? But because you're such a boxing fanatic, right? We need to ask you your opinion on a fight. So it's a fight that obviously you won't mind talking about because it's massive, but it came a wee bit too late. So Amir Khan fights Kell this weekend. What's your thoughts on that fight? Obviously, as a boxing purist.
Yeah, obviously it fucking sucks that it's like, you know, 10 years too late. You know, and to be fair, I feel like they're both fucking chinny, like, you know, so I wouldn't like, I reckon it could be the high possibility of finishing, of not going the distance, is pretty high. I favor Brook. You know, yeah, I do favor Brook. I think Amir Khan's obviously like he's speed. They're both speed. I feel like they're both like quite not similar, but do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, yeah, I don't know. I'm really leaning towards Brook with this one. Just because I think Amir Khan, like his last outings. Wait, was it Brook? Amir that had that fight not long ago, but you know what I mean. His last fight lasted like fucking.
Yeah, well, Crawford sort of destroyed them both in the past sort of few years. I still fancy. I do fancy Khan. I think if it happened 5 years ago, I actually would have fancied Brook. And I think if it's a weak one, because I think if it happened 10 years ago, I would have fancied Khan. 5 years.
Yeah, Brook. Me too.
And again now, but for me, again, Khan. I don't even know.
Interesting. Why do you think that?
Because I think Khan's sort of prime was actually when he was really young. I think he hasn't been a world champion in 10 years. Like people forget that. And then I genuinely think Brook was one of the best in the weight, if not the best in like 2015, 2016. So I think it happened then. But I think now they're both shot. They're both over the hill. I hope they wouldn't mind me saying that. But I think Khan's speed, he still has it there. And I think
he does have,
Brook's punch resistance after that Crawford fight, I've no belief in.
I think it's just who's aged worse, I'd say as well.
Yeah, but
that's exactly what it is.
But Khan never really depended on his punch. He never had a punch resistance, and he managed to get through his career without it. Brook like prided himself on taking the biggest of shots from Porters and GGG and stuff.
Yeah.
Now when you seen him there in the Crawford fight, he get knocked down with a jab. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Khan,
I don't think many people will probably take our opinions serious when the Nico Ali podcast when Colin McGuigan said that Jake Paul transcended the sport of boxing to Muhammad Ali's grandson.
This is great.
Sorry, just on this, Ebony agrees with me about Jake Paul transcending the sport. Okay, so we're in agreement about this.
No.
However,
Ebony, hold on, we're not getting off the hook. I know it's not Ebony. Just take this in for 1 second. Let me repeat what Ryan said. Colin said to Muhammad Ali's grandson, "How do you feel about Jake Paul transcending the sport of boxing?"
True.
Yeah.
What? He did.
End the podcast. End the podcast.
No, but seriously, who cares?
Yeah,
it's a
exactly.
question.
Thank you.
And he's done a lot. Jake Paul's done a lot more than a lot of other people that's been in the industry for a long time, especially for women's boxing. So Serrano is fucking lucky, you know, to have him there. Like Serrano was nothing, not nothing, but you know what I mean? Like he's smart. He's smart. I feel like Jake Paul's the Ebanie Bridges of promotion boxing.
Boom. I was going to say it.
He's incredible at what he's doing.
Yeah.
I'm saying don't fucking say it to Muhammad Ali's grandson. Of
but
all people.
Muhammad Ali's grandson. Muhammad Ali's grandson doesn't matter. Just because he's Muhammad Ali's grandson don't mean shit.
Brand, she's just backing him up.
He's just another person.
I'm sick of this.
This wasn't the reaction we wanted.
Look, maybe if it was Muhammad Ali, you know, but Muhammad Ali's grandson, I mean.
Thank you very much, Miss Bridges. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Come on the podcast. People be getting tattoos of me in their chest.
Wait a second, guys. So I want to go back to this fight though, right? So Brook, but I don't think Khan has. He might have this. Look, he might have the speed to beat Brook, but I don't know if he. Oh, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I genuinely think nobody knows. Like who's
okay? My prediction. This is coming out before the fight, right? Khan's gonna knock him out in the fourth round.
I'll go inside 8, Khan.
So if it goes past 6, it's Brook. So.
Well, Brook would have to have really bad punch resistance because Khan's not really that handed. Like he's not really power puncher.
Speed.
I'm gonna say Khan points. I think Kell Brook would rather die than get knocked out by Amir Khan.
Yeah,
doesn't matter though. There's nothing they can do to stop it.
But like
one of them are getting knocked out.
Like Kell Brook hasn't really had a ridiculously bad KO compared to Amir Khan.
Well, yeah, Amir Khan's been like knocked the fuck out a few times.
It's
like,
GGG absolutely battered.
Yeah, I know, but like
spent broke the eye socket as well, and it was 2 different eye sockets.
Terminator stealing there now.
Absolutely, they need that Ebanie Bridges fucking cheekbone.
Mate,
Yeah,
they
exactly.
just need to eat some fucking cement like I do every morning for breakfast.
You know the way they outed me for saying that? I can't believe Kieran said you got peppered, Ebony.
I know.
That was an absolute
By
disgrace.
Courtney.
Listen,
What the
Straight
fuck?
up.
Let's edit
Getting
that bit
peppered.
out.
When the
Ebony,
fuck was I getting
straight
peppered?
Ebony, I'll be editing that out. Don't worry.
I'm so happy. I don't think I'm following you. Thank God. Because I definitely unfollow you.
Ebony, just
Why don't you go slide in Courtney's DMs?
Oh,
here, he already has. He already has. Here, Ebony, just before we do go, I do want to touch on this, right? So,
Yeah.
obviously, Campos is going to fight in Australia. There's a good chance it's going to be Devin Haney. There's also a good chance that it's going to be his own promotion. Will we see Ebanie Bridges defending her world title in Australia in front of her family for probably the only time in your career that you'll get that kind of opportunity?
Yeah. Are you asking me or are you telling me that's what you see?
No, I'm asking you.
Asking,
Will that
yeah.
happen?
Look, if I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I don't have a big interest in fighting in Australia. The problem is I don't have a trainer in Australia, which I would want to train me for a world title fight, and have a camp and the sparring and everything over in Australia to get me ready for that fight. So what would I do? Fly over here or fly to America, do my camps, have those trainers come with me back to Australia and do what I used to do to come here. You know what I mean? Like that's honestly where I'm like, I'm not really that hungry to do it. Like, I'm not like, oh yeah, I can't wait to defend it in Australia, because I'm like, well, fuck, what am I going to do? Who am I going to train with? Who am I going to spar? What the fuck? There's a reason I got out of Australia. Do you know what I mean?
Well, look, our good close personal friend, Edward Hearn, has said that he will front all the money for Mark Tibbs to go over there. So he told us exclusively. So we'll tag him in this. And he said he'll
Yes,
front
sweet.
all the money
Unreal.
if you win the world title.
Yeah,
and
look,
you can
if I could,
front your
if
family.
I could get a coach there with me from overseas and do my camp there, then yeah. And it's, I mean, no offense to my coaches that I've had in Australia. I just, I've outgrown people, you know what I mean? And that's just what happens in careers. That's why you change and you move on, and you learn as much as you can from there, and then you move on, and that's it. That's growing, and that's business. That's why you go from a primary school teacher to a high school teacher to a college teacher, university teacher. This is how it is. And that's what I've done in my career. And I can't really go back to primary school. Do you know what I mean? And the thing is there's coaches in Australia that maybe I could possibly train under. But you know what? The thing is, these cunts didn't have fucking interest in me when I needed a coach when I first turned pro. You know what I mean? And they weren't interested in women's boxing. They weren't interested in taking a gamble on a girl like me. They didn't want me in their gyms, because whatever the fuck, maybe not take me seriously or think I'm going to distract people. But really, I just train harder than everyone. And having me in your gym is a fucking blessing, because I bring up everyone. I inspire even the boys in the gym here. They know, you know what I mean, with my drive and my work ethic. Like, they have to match it. They got to lift up. They see that I work fucking hard, and they don't want to be outworked by a girl, and that's just it. So I don't really want to give anyone in Australia that opportunity when they didn't give it to me. And that might be spiteful and silly, but this is my time now, you know what I mean? And I'm very selective with who I bring in my circle and who I have as part of my journey.
Well, Ebony, I think we've done 57 or 58 podcasts. That's one of the most enjoyable I've done. You never.
That's what all the boys say.
To be fair, he's just saying that to make up for that comment. Yeah, he wouldn't have said that otherwise.
No, actually, in all honesty, I remember saying this after the first one, because I forgot how nuts you were. You don't mince the words. You say what you feel, and you're always good crap to chat with. So thank you so much for coming on.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on again.
Thanks a million. Really
I was your first girl on your podcast.
Still the only girl, fuck's sake, but
yeah.
We
don't get other girls on, and that probably is something that we need to look into. So for people listening, we're planning to get other girls on. But at the moment, it's just we've got a hectic schedule with people that we're trying to record with, and
like we're waiting,
the only one blessed.
It's like a fucking waiting list to get on this podcast, like 6-month waiting list, man.
Like,
seriously.
That's the clip. That's the clip for this episode.
That's the clip.
Even the first one. Even the first time was like 6 months. I'm like, come on, bro. Like, do you not know who I am and who I'm gonna be? No.
We do know. That's why we've had you back.
Yeah.
Ebony,
well, I'm glad you come back for seconds.
Ebony, thanks.
Have I come back for seconds? I don't know. But
exactly.
Thank you so much, and we'll hopefully get you on again after you win that cup next month.
That's it. And then thank you, boys. I appreciate your support throughout my career, and I'm looking forward to making more memories and getting that belt.
Unreal. See
Thanks
you.
a million, Ebony. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
See you. Bye.
Well, folks, that's it for our episode with Ebanie Bridges. Join us again next week, and we'll be back with another very special guest.
My dad likes to call that life, but I'd like to call that white girl problems. Met her back in autumn. Every gift I try to get her, she already got them. Messing with the TA, wonder what she taught him. Work her way down, literally to the bottom. Where are all my best friends? I cannot ignore them. Never gonna text them, I am too important. Look at what my dad bought, yeah, it was imported. He took a second loan, cause our family can't afford it. Nice guy, bound to finish last if it's a sport. Call her CeeLo cause she crazy and her arms are kinda short. Got a traffic ticket once, but she didn't go to court. And she interrupts my sessions every time that I record. So I tell her I got so much shit up on my plate, it's a buffet. Now we out in Paris and these women look like Muzzy. Superficial, she just needed combs like Puffy. You don't need to go, but I think you need to trust me. Come take a drink with me, forget all you know.